In January, the nation's dairy farmers reported keeping 18% fewer heifers to serve as future milk cows than they did 8 years earlier. The downward trend has been consistent over that entire time period.
This is a dynamic situation taking place in dairy farms, the collective U.S. dairy industry. Replacement heifers, all dairy heifers, are at the lowest level since 1978. So we swung the pendulum a little too far, making beef on dairy calves.
Beef on dairy refers to when producers breed dairy cows to Angus or other beef bulls. Those calves are then raised for beef instead of future milk production. The strategy has become increasingly popular as beef prices surged in 2023, fueled in part by the smallest national beef herd since 1961.
As beef prices started going up, dairy heifers were actually more valuable in feedlots than they were in dairy barns because it was costing about $2,000 a head to raise them. So that's kind of when the beef on dairy movement began. This past year, National Association of Animal Breeders reported that there were 9.8 million units of beef bull semen sold in the U.S., and almost 80% of that was sold to dairy farmers. So there are a lot of these beef on dairy calves, and their prices are getting higher and higher.
But even with fewer dairy replacement heifers, the U.S. dairy herd overall has grown, increasing by 212,000 head from a year ago.
The dairy cow herd is actually at the highest inventory here in over 30 years at 9.6 million units. If I'm talking to dairy farm audiences, I'll say in some cases the cow's uterus has more value than the cow herself because of the value of the black-hided calf. The only way to grow the dairy herd is to retain dairy cows, so we pulled back on dairy cow culling. What does that mean in U.S. dairy farms? Our cows are getting older.
At Hanson's Dairy in Hudson, Iowa, the Hanson family has been breeding a small percentage of their dairy cows to beef bulls for more than a decade. One of the owners, Blake Hanson, says while most of Hanson's Dairy's beef cross calves are processed with the meat being sold directly to consumers, he has seen prices climb for others who sell at livestock auctions or to packing plants.
Bull calves are incredibly high, Holstein bull calves that is, and then of course the black-hided calves are even higher yet. It's the best thing that's ever happened to the beef farmers and dairy industry as far as I'm concerned. We've been waiting for a long time for this price increase because there's been many years they haven't been making much money at what they do.
Hanson believes the trend could eventually tighten milk supplies and lift milk prices.
That's gonna limit the supply of heifers in general, and then that's also gonna limit the supply of milk down the road because farmers aren't gonna have the supply of heifers to replace their cow herd. For now, the price of milk is somewhat low, but I think by the end of the year or in the 2027, we're gonna have some really high milk prices because of the shortage of heifers.
Geiger, who believes USDA's replacement heifer data underrepresents the shortage, says the shrinking pipeline of future milk cows is likely to continue unless beef prices weaken or dairies begin running very short on replacements.
This year, we're going to have 438,000 fewer dairy replacements becoming milk cows compared to last year. And this won't rebound until 2027 when we see an improvement of 285,000.
The shortage is already driving replacement heifer prices sharply higher. Some say that could eventually force some dairy producers to step back a bit from beef on dairy.
We have to change a little bit how we're caring for dairy cows as this herd gets older. Eventually, we have to pay the piper. In this instance, we're gonna have to cull these older cows, and that's why dairy farmers really need to take a look at their replacement inventories. In 2015-16, replacements were at $1,400–1,500. It was easy to go. It was cheaper to buy them than to raise them. Well, now that price in October went up to a record $3,100.
like a nice fancy Springer, guys.
Those are
38,
steep
24.
prices.
She's going to be a Padwin daughter.
This early May auction in Withy, Wisconsin, saw some dairy heifers selling for over $4,000 apiece. Auctions all over dairy country are getting these kinds of prices. Some dairies are already responding by spending a bit more on pre-selected genetics to have female calves.
It's really kind of surprising because milk prices are so low, but we're still seeing record high prices for heifers, especially like the ones ready to go right into the milk line. And personally, our farm is expanding and we are breeding more to using sex semen to try to get more heifer calves, but you're still sacrificing because you could be selling the beef calf as an opportunity cost there.
The question remaining for producers is how long that window stays open.
The first indicator it may be over is when the cattle ranchers start retaining heifers. So I think make hay when the sun is shining, as a lot of farmers will talk about, and this beef on dairy run is the time the sun is shining and it's time to make some hay on it.
For Market to Market, I'm Colleen Bradford Krantz.